everyone, welcome back to my channel. It feels really good but really weird to be saying that again. I am so nervous for this video. I've been thinking about it for so long, and so I'm sorry if it's all over the place, which is how all my videos are, but really today I'm so nervous and so anxious for this video. Just gonna try to take a deep breath and make it make sense as much as I can. When I get nervous, I ramble and I repeat myself, and I can't really put thoughts together, but I'm gonna try my best to get what I need to say across. And this little funny postpartum regrowth is going to bug me the entire time, so hopefully I don't touch my hair too much, but that little piece just will not stay in line. This video is going to be an explanation of why we've been inconsistent, and that is a big understatement to say that it's just been inconsistent for so long. It's been about a year and a half, and I kind of have touched a little bits and pieces of why, but I haven't ever really gone into a full explanation. So that's what this video is going to be. And I know that some of you aren't really interested in this at this point. So for those of you who don't really want to watch the rest of the video and kind of hear my explanation, that's completely fine. I know that I've lost a lot of your trust, and a lot of you are kind of sick of hearing the same thing, and I totally get that. I know that a lot of you aren't going to believe that we're going to be consistent and that we're back. You know you've heard it before, and I totally get that. I understand that, and I'm fine with proving that to you from here on out. So for those of you who don't want to stay through the whole video, basically this video is just saying that we're back and we're going to be consistent. I'm going to be uploading 3 times a week. I'm not set on the days. I want to be a little bit more flexible on that because, you know, life happens, life gets crazy, but it will be 3 uploads at least a week. But with that out of the way, for those of you who do want an explanation, I feel like I owe all of you an explanation as to why we have been so inconsistent. And it's been basically the last year and a half, ever since Cohen was born and a little bit before he was born. And the first reason is my mental health, which I have talked about before, but never really in depth, because it makes me so anxious to talk about, especially on camera. I basically don't really talk to anyone about this, and it's kind of nerve-wracking to talk about online because there are so many opinions, but I'm going to do it, and I think that it'll help you understand me better, and maybe it'll help you in some way. I don't know. I kind of want to start from the beginning so that this all makes a little bit more sense, but I have struggled with mental health since I can remember, since I was little. I've had a really rough childhood and a really rough life, and I've never ever talked about any of what I've gone through online, but that's what pretty much all triggered it. And then at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, depression, and obsessive compulsive disorder. And from there, my treatment kind of started, and I was put on medication, and I was seeing the counselor more often, and really trying to figure out the medication was the hardest part for me. It always has been, because if you have struggled with any kind of mental health, you know that finding the right medication and the right dose is so difficult, especially when you're that young. I didn't really take it that seriously, and it's so hard to find a balance of feeling good and not feeling like an emotionless zombie who's a robot. It's just really hard to find that balance, and I never really found it. And then when I was 18, I met Brandon. I was feeling pretty good at that point. I was pretty happy, and I met Brandon and we fell in love. But I went off of all of my medication to kind of let my body regulate, because we knew that we wanted to try to have a baby. So then Addie comes into the picture, and I did experience some postpartum depression with her, but looking back on what I've experienced of postpartum depression now, it really was not that bad. But I did experience some postpartum depression. And then when we got pregnant with Cohen, we were really happy, and I was feeling really good at that point. And then towards the end of my pregnancy, obviously everyone gets a little bit down. It was just, you know, a lot, and I was so pregnant, and so I started feeling down at that point. But then when Cohen was born, for those of you who don't know, I had a really traumatic, horrific birth. I haven't really talked about it much. I haven't really talked about it at all, because when I talk about it, I get really anxious, and it can sometimes trigger panic attacks, and I'm not ready to talk about that. I did kind of explain in his birth video a little bit about it, but basically it was just a really horrific birth. And while I was in the hospital, actually, I started having really horrible panic attacks, which I've had before, but not ever really that often. And these were back to back. When I was rolled into the recovery room after my C-section, I was having back to back panic attacks, and I thought that I was dying. I kept telling them that they had to get the nurses in, they had to get the doctors in, because I couldn't breathe, something was wrong. And obviously they determined that it was just panic attacks. And for the rest of my hospital stay, I was basically medicated. That was really fuzzy. I honestly don't remember much. And they did start me on actual depression medication at that point. They actually did give me a prescription of the medicine that they gave to me while I was in the hospital for when I can't control my panic attacks. So I do have that now. I have had to take it a few times, I'm going to be honest. Especially when I got home from the hospital, I was still in a really bad place because the depression medication wasn't working yet, and it was just a really, really dark time. I remember just, okay, I really don't want to cry. I remember just crying in bed, and I love my kids more than anything in the world, but depression, postpartum depression, just is awful. It makes you feel like you can't love anything. And I remember just thinking, like, why did I have Cohen? Like, this isn't what I want anymore. And of course that's not actually how I feel. That was the depression talking. But it was really, really rough for about the first 6 weeks, and I was in so much pain. Like, I couldn't really do anything, and I honestly I felt like I resented Cohen because I couldn't really spend that much time with Addie, and it was just a really hard time. And I remember Brandon was really worried about me, and he really didn't want to go back to work. He had to go back to work at 6 weeks, and it was really hard for him because he was really worried about me, and rightfully so. And I was really worried about me, and that was the low point. Obviously I really love my kids, they're my world, and I knew that wasn't me talking. That was the hardest part. After 6 weeks it did get better. After 6 weeks I was functioning, and I wasn't like that, but I just wasn't what I needed to be for my family. And it's been kind of a journey since then to try to find out the dosing and the medication that works for me. At a year postpartum, I decided that I needed to take my health into my own hands and wean him and figure my health out and figure out my mental health. And I think that I've found a good balance. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, and I have to accept that, but I am to a place right now where I can accept that and where I can do this and really commit to YouTube. I feel like I haven't really done that, and I am committing. I am all in. I am ready for this. I am excited. I'm going to be uploading 3 times a week. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I want to kind of be flexible on what days that's going to be, because I don't want to set myself up for complete failure, but that's the plan, and hopefully a few more sprinkled in throughout the week, maybe some weeks. I know that I'm going to have to prove it, but I'm willing to do that, and I'm excited to do that. So please stay, subscribe. We'll see you really, really soon in a vlog. Thank you all for watching and listening to this rambly, super long video, and I'll see you all in our next one. Bye everyone.